Bring it. JD here. Good to have you on board. Thank you, as always, for taking some of that precious time of yours to spend it with us here on the program, where intellectual anarchy is encouraged and nurtured for now. Your 643 ATM of Informacion loaded up, ready to be accessed. The PIN 800-876-4123. Jesse produced and Don produced and working the dials. Little Blue Riding Hood Mike is taking your calls, emails at the website. Yeah, you see that, Don? He's got his blue hoodie on there today. Is it cold up there in Oregon today? Is it?
Yes.
Do we not have heat inside? Very cold? It was cold this morning here in Las Vegas. It was like 39 degrees. It was like winter has definitely worked its way here. You can work your way here at 800-876. The poll question up there for you today at the website. Big O and the Dems say we need to tax the rich more to solve our budget mess. The average tax rate paid by U.S. corporations is about 18%. Now, we know it's 35%. That's the number, but that's not the number that corporations pay. So I asked the question, should we be looking to raise corporate taxes? Jerry, really? Are you saying that? As Ronald Reagan did in 1986, while reducing personal income taxes. 3% of the people say tax corps more, people less. 3% say tax both less. 3% tax both more. 90% say none of it matters unless they cut spending first. You can answer it there or here at 800-876-4123. This morning, I'm sampling what's available to me on cable television at 0400 as I'm responding to your emails, which is typically the time of day that I do. And it was interesting to listen to how, I guess, the discussion of where we're going as a nation, Republican, Democrat, House, Senate, the forgotten 15 of legislative bills that came out of the House that went to the Senate that went nowhere in the Senate because of the do-nothing whorehouse Harry Reid. And it was all about how we have to be responsible, but they're not getting it done. We pass this, but they won't do that. They're doing this, but they shouldn't be doing that, and we're doing this. And if it wasn't for us, this wouldn't be happening, and they're the only ones that are standing in the way. And then I had my, oh, kind of a moment. Former Senator Alan Simpson. Now, the key word there is former, because a former senator isn't beholden to the current system. And I want you to listen to this exchange that went on between former Senator Alan Simpson and the morning co-host on Fox, whatever show it is that's on in the morning, a guy and a girl. It's not the two guys and a girl. It's not the two men and a baby. It's not 2.5 men or whatever. It's the one with the guy and the girl. And they bring on Simpson. Now, Simpson, he introduced a way that we could take a look at cutting our spending, getting our fiscal house in order. He introduced it a year ago, the Simpson-Bowles proposal, at the behest of President Obama. And there were some good things in there that went absolutely nowhere, because the things that he addressed, that both of them addressed in that report, have been addressed time and time and time and time and time and time again. But the problem is it cuts into the special interest and the moneyed interest and the lobbying and the influence that it has over our system, to the point that everybody says something needs to be done, but not in my backyard. Here's former Senator Alan Simpson, and listen to his tone, listen to his language, and in a certain way, how he mocks the people that are standing there, supposedly standing up for we the people.
Senator Simpson, what was the reaction to those words?
Well, probably shocked in the back of the room with the AARP. I noticed they were there in their red coats, looked like the British were getting ready to charge again. Let me tell you, I was there when you used to grab hold of an issue. You didn't care whether you were a Democrat or Republican, you were an American. And I had a hearing on the AARP when I was an active senator. They were furious. They said, why would you do this? I said, I want to know what you make. I want to know what you do with your money. What do you pay your people? You say you're not an advocacy group, and you're out there running ads all over. And, boy, their ads now are just vicious. You know, we know who you are. We follow this thing, and, you know, we vote. And pointing this beady-eyed, bald-headed, gray-haired coot is pointing his finger, you know, like I do, too.
Beady-eyed, bald-haired coot. It's going, we know who you are. We're going to keep track of what you're doing. We're going to vote for you against you because we're taking Metamucil. He continues.
And Grover Norquist, if he's the most powerful man in America, let him run for president. But I tell people, look, Grover, the only thing Grover can do to you, he can't murder you. He can't burn your house. The only thing he can do to you is prevent you from winning a primary or defeating you for re-election. And if that means more to you than your country in extremity, you shouldn't be in Congress.
Wow.
Nice. Naming names. Calling people out. Country over party. Principle over patronage. He continues.
Do you think that political courage is absent from D.C. right now?
I think that the interest groups and the power of campaign contribution money has just dulled their senses. I mean, when you have been received, you've maxed out, they've maxed out in your primary, you've maxed out in the general, and you've never, ever had them where they weren't there for you, and they say, we'll never bother you, we don't put pressure. Let me tell you, they're in their offices right now saying, hey, pal, this is it. They're going to take away our tax expenditure. They're going to mess with the tax code. They're taking this, the realtors, and we're here to tell you now we want your vote. And boy, that's tough. And I've had that. It is tough. And I've chickened out on about 8 or 10 of them in my 18 years. I won't even describe the ones where you just the pressure from your constituents or from the special interest groups. So I'm not saying I haven't fallen prey to that, but this is different.
This is different. Honesty. I chickened out. I sold out to a special interest. I succumbed to the pressure. You're not going to get that kind of honesty in a current senator or House member who's more aligned with the party than they are with the principles of a nation. This is a guy who can afford to tell it like it is. This is a guy who can come clean. This is a guy who travels around the country with Erskine Bowles, who listens to the people and knows that we're long past innocence, fast approaching apathy, but at some point we start to throw our hands up and say, enough of the garbage.
You can give up the phrase that if you learn how to compromise, that you're a wimp. And let me tell you, if you can't learn to compromise an issue without compromising yourself, you shouldn't be in Congress. And I would say to them, remember, if you have forgotten that you're an American first, not a member of the AFL-CIO or the NRA or the AARP or the unions or the non-unions or the righties and the lefties and the cuckoos all over this country who are the special interest groups, if you can't take them on as an American, instead of isolating yourself as a party person, that just makes people know what's going on. You can't believe, Erskine and I go all over this country. People are tired of mush and BS. And when these guys get on their hind legs and say, we're going to do this without touching Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or defense, just stick your finger down your throat. Get out of the room.
Wow.
Nice. A standing... Well, I'm kind of sitting at the moment, but if I was standing, you get a standing ovation. Just stick your finger down your throat. Because people just want to puke when they hear this, well, we're doing this on behalf of the American people, and the American people need to know that we're here representing, and if it wasn't for the opposition, we'd get things done, and the only thing that's holding us back, and, oh, well, it's the Republicans that are standing in the way of Obama's jobs program that would put people back to work, and I don't know why it sounds like Carol Channing, but it does. But, I mean, this is where people are at. Now, this was an interesting exchange in the conclusion of this interview with Alan Simpson with this Fox babe this morning, where she forgot she was a Fox babe. She forgot that she was a Fox tool for the Republican Party. She got caught up in the honesty of Alan Simpson and dared to suggest this.
Just stick your finger down your throat. Get out of the room.
Sometimes I think I get more life advice in our 3-minute conversations than most conversations I have every day, Senator, and I really appreciate it. I know our viewers do, too. Just some common sense when we talk about such big issues.
Let me just tell you, the Congresswoman from Wyoming, who has not said anything too vocally, said yesterday, Grover Norquist is not in my district, and I think we have to consider revenue. That's courage. That woman is Cynthia Loomis, and she's got a lot of guts, and she said that yesterday. I'm sure Grover will now have some seance over her office and try to send her to the wretched.
Well, maybe we'll have her as a guest on our show tomorrow to talk a little bit about why you think she has political courage and how she's standing up for things. The more we can support people like that, the better for all of us, no matter what party.
You should interview this woman.
No matter what party.
And that's coming from Fox?
From Fox. No matter what party someone has a good idea from, no matter what idea someone has without a designation of a D or an R, the more people we can bring to the party, the more people we can bring, not the political party, the People's Party, the more ideas we can have where we actually come to expose the system for what it is, which is not benefiting either the masses on the Democrat or the Republican side of the aisle, but benefiting the special interest. That's when we're finally going to start to get something done. And the people like Alan Simpson are the people that are able to be honest about what's really going on in our political system today. They're able to say what it really is all about, Alfie.
The Jerry Doyle Show.
Now, one of them is going to be on the program next week, and his name is Jack Abramoff. Yes, the disgraced lobbyist Jack Abramoff, who spent 1,299 nights in jail. He's got a new book out called Capital Punishment, The Hard Truth About Washington Corruption from America's Most Notorious Lobbyist. And he talks about money and influence and how people get bought and sold and traded like commodities on the political commodity exchange. And he said a lot of people that he writes about have said a lot of nasty things about him, like he's scum. He could gag a maggot. He's lower than pond scum, a parasite with no redeeming qualities. He's a creep. We hate him. I bet they do. I bet they do. Naming names. Yours here at 800-876-4123. I'm Jerry Doyle. Join me.
The Jerry Doyle Show.